Hi, everybody. I am Rachel Mikla with Strength and Nutrition, and welcome to week 5 of your Energy for Life program. So, today we're going to go through the module, What is in the Food You Are Eating? And to give you a little bit of an overview, you know now what the different macronutrients are and maybe what your specific macronutrient needs are. Now, from there, not all macronutrients are created equal. And so, how do we determine what maybe is a little bit of better quality? And how do we look into knowing which foods we should consume? So, today we're going to go through label reading and give you a little bit of information regarding choosing the best quality foods for you. So, I am going to share my screen here and we are going to get started. Let me see, share. I'm going to go into the module. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to go through how to read a food label. Now, there are two areas on a food label that you want to pay attention to. You want to pay attention to the nutrition facts panel, and you also want to pay attention to the ingredient list. A lot of people think when they're reading a label, they only need to look at the nutrition facts panel, but sometimes we beg to differ that maybe the ingredients list is a little bit more important, which I'll get to in a little bit. So for a nutrition facts panel, if you don't know how to read this, I'm going to go through it right now. If you do know how to read it, feel free to skip ahead in this video, but I'm just going to give a brief overview. So here you can see this food item, and I had zoomed in my screen a little bit, so it's a little bigger for you guys to see on the video. So some things are going to be cut off, so I'm going to have to go down and up with my cursor here. But you want to look at the serving size, calories, different nutrients, and then percent daily value. Those are the main things on a nutrition facts panel. And then here's the ingredients list. So if we go down, serving size, I'm going to talk about kind of what that is first. So the serving size dictates how much of the food contains the specific nutrient amounts listed on the nutrition facts panel. So the serving size of these crackers is 17 crackers. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should only eat 17 crackers. Everybody has, different macronutrient needs, but 17 crackers is what provides this specific amount of calories and all these different nutrients in it as well. Now, let's say you eat more than 17 crackers. There's 4 servings per container. You also need to make sure that no matter how many servings per container it says, you take that into consideration. So example, you ate this whole box of crackers, you'd have to multiply all this by 4. Tricky little thing that companies try to do is that even on a Gatorade bottle, you'd think maybe a whole bottle is 1 serving size and that the whole bottle has whatever it says for calories and sugar and everything. But they try to trick you by saying, oh, there's actually 2.5 servings per container. So you need to make sure that you multiply everything if you drink the whole bottle by how many servings per container there is. So that is what the serving size means. Now, calories. Like we've said before, calories just mean energy, and you have previously calculated your calorie needs. Some people want to pay attention to the calorie needs, some people don't. But basically, calories is what is listed on the nutrition facts panel. Now, the different nutrients, it's very important to pay attention to these if you're trying to count your different macronutrients. So protein, your fat, carbohydrate intake. You can look at a nutrition facts panel. Let's say you're just trying to focus on getting your protein intake up. So on this, you'd see protein 3 grams in 1 serving size. Now, some things that we want to list that you should probably try to pay attention to would be saturated fat, okay? So for saturated fat, there's a lot of buzz about this right now within the nutrition realm, and we're kind of knowing that as research is evolving, not all saturated fat is created equal. But we know that we don't want to consume too much of this. So when you're looking at a nutrition facts panel on a food item, we want to try to have the saturated fat be low if it's coming from a packaged good. However, if the saturated fat is coming from a real whole food source, then that is probably a little bit more beneficial for your body. Trans fat is a different type of nutrient, and this actually has now been banned in the United States, but there is a way for companies to work around it and by putting it within the ingredients. And if there is less than 0.5 milligrams of a food or 0.5 grams of a food, if there is less than 0.5 grams of something within a food, they don't need to list it on the nutrition facts panel. So they can get around by putting trans fat in your food items and then end up having it actually, they can say 0 grams, but if you eat a lot of that food item, you're going to get a lot of trans fat if it's 0.5 grams in there, and they don't have to include it on the nutrition facts panel. Another nutrient is cholesterol. So food companies they are required to provide the amount of cholesterol provided in the foods on the package. However, the amount of cholesterol in a food item doesn't have an effect on blood cholesterol. Research has come out that doesn't have an effect. So we kind of like to say, don't necessarily pay attention to the cholesterol content of food. Now, what does have an effect on our blood cholesterol would be like our trans fat, saturated fats, sugar content. So we'd want to pay attention to those. Sodium is another nutrient that is good to be mindful of. The average American should have less than 2,300 milligrams a day. And typically we have about 6,000 to 8,000 milligrams. So we always want to try to be cautious about our sodium intake. And fiber is another nutrient to look at on a nutrition facts panel. Our previous module, I know, discussed some dietary fiber. So if you need a little refresher, go back and read that. But remember that women should have a minimum of 25 grams per day and men should have a minimum of 38 grams of fiber per day. And then added sugars, that's another place on the nutrition facts panel that you can look at. Now, you will notice that added sugars is underneath total carbohydrate. So the amount of added sugars is part of that total carbohydrate. And also, total sugars and added sugars are different. Total sugars will refer to the amount of sugar within a product. So for example, fruit has naturally occurring sugar in it. So if an apple had a nutrition facts panel, under total sugars, there would be something listed there because there is sugar within it. But if under added sugars, there would be nothing listed there. And what you want to pay attention to specifically is like how much added sugar is in something. We want to try to have less than 24 milligrams or grams of sugar a day for females and less than 36 a day for men. So one other part on the nutrition facts panel is the percent daily value. This can get very confusing for some people, and I just wanted to say like what it is, but basically you don't really need to pay attention to it. It is part though, what it means is that it is based off of a 2,000 calorie diet. Everybody's calorie needs are different, so this is why we say to not really pay attention to it. And it will take the percent daily value, let's say it's total carbohydrates, and there's 18 grams of something within a food product, and then on the side it says 7%. So that means 7%, that food item is 7% of your total daily carbohydrate intake for a 2,000 calorie diet. So that's why it's not very helpful to look at the percent daily value. Now you may be wondering like how much of some of these food items should I have a day of these nutrients? I have no idea. So typically, if you see here, the nutrients of sodium, the most amount we want to have is 2,300 milligrams a day, and we want less than that. Dietary fiber, we want more than 25 grams a day for women and 38 grams a day for men. And then added sugars, as listed before, we want less than 24 grams per day for women and 36 grams a day for men. So that's kind of a little bit of information about how to read a nutrition facts panel. Now I'm going to talk about the ingredients list because that is very important to pay attention to. The reason is because not all products are created equal. So microwave popcorn could be very different from stovetop popcorn. And I have the example listed down below, which we'll get to that you'll be like, oh, why is that the case? So main tips to consider when you're looking at the ingredients in a food is that, first of all, when you're looking at a food label, the ingredients listed go in order of most prevalent to least prevalent. So I have an example here of a salsa jar. So the most prevalent item says ingredients, tomato, onion, bell pepper. The most prevalent item is going to be tomato, and the least prevalent item is going to be spices because it goes from order of what's most within a product. All righty. Now, like said before, even if a label says 0 grams, you need to read the ingredients to determine if there's actually 0 grams of an ingredient within there. So we go down here. What I want to show you is it says here includes 0 grams of added sugar. I know it's kind of small, so I apologize for that. But when you read the nutrition facts panel, sugar is in there. That's a way they can sneak around because it's probably less than 0.5 grams per serving. Now for this, a serving size is 2 tablespoons. If you end up having 4 tablespoons of this salsa, that sugar content could start to add up in the day. So that is one reason why trying to read the nutrition facts panel and the ingredient list is going to be beneficial for you. A lot of times they try to trick you by saying, oh yes, there's nothing in here. But if you eat more than the serving size, there is actually stuff in here that's going to make a difference. In general, another main point to make is the less ingredients, the better. Now I say in general because yes, like the salsa, these are all pretty whole food based items, tomato, onion, bell pepper. But normally a lot of foods that are processed and come in a can or a jar or a box are going to have a lot of added preservatives and dyes and oils. And so those aren't going to be as beneficial for our body. So that's why we want to try to read the ingredient label and look for things that are more whole food items versus kind of those manufactured food items. I'm going to go through some examples here about getting tricked by some of this marketing now on the front of a package, because truly like marketing is madness in today's world. So I'm going to show you original Cheez-Its and whole grain Cheez-Its. Fun little story. Even when I was in school to become a dietitian, I would buy the whole grain Cheez-Its because I'm like, oh, these are healthier for me. They're whole grain. But really, for a product to say whole grain on the front of it, they literally need to put one whole grain into whatever they're making that product in. Like, let's say they make Cheez-Its in a huge pot. They literally need to put one piece of whole grain in there to say that it's made from whole grain. So we want to look at the ingredient list. And in order for something to really be whole grain, we know that we want whole grain to be one of the first ingredients. Let's look at the original Cheez-Its. Okay, enriched flour. So wheat flour, niacin, reduced iron, yada, yada, yada. Now, let's look at the whole grain Cheez-Its. Oh, enriched flour is the first item as well. And then whole wheat flour is second. But because enriched flour is the first item, that is still going to be more prevalent than the whole wheat flour. And so they're just trying to trick you here. We want that whole wheat flour to be first. Now let's move on to a different example. We're going to compare similar products here. Peanut butter. There's so many different peanut butters out on the market. So here's Jif, and here's something called cream nut peanut butter. I know I wish that these points to notice I could show you like both of the nutrition fact panels side by side while I go through it, but there are similarities between it. Both are 2 tablespoons for a serving size. Both calories are 190. Total fat, both of them are 16 grams. So somebody that's not reading the ingredients list or maybe like, oh, they're similar, or if they're just looking at the calories in something. But that's why we say let's dig a little deeper, because differences. The Jif has a lot more sodium in it. There's more saturated fat as well. And there's a lot more sugars and added sugars in the Jif too. And you may be wondering, okay, like why is this? Why is the sodium, saturated fat, and total sugars different? We need to read the ingredient list to find out. Cream nut only has 2 ingredients, peanuts and sea salt. That is the gold standard. Whereas if we look at Jif, as roasted peanuts, sugar, molasses, which is another type of sugar, fully hydrogenated vegetable oil. So that's the reason why these nutrition facts panels are different. And like I said before, how like microwave popcorn is very different from stovetop popcorn. I'm going to show you the reasoning behind this. So we got some microwave popcorn here, and we got the stovetop popcorn here. Both of these have the same amount of total sugars and added sugars, which is 0. Now, differences is definitely in serving size. So not everything is created equal because the serving sizes are different. And then even with the serving sizes, the calories are different. So the calories, even though the serving size of microwave popcorn is less, the calories are more. And you're going to maybe be like, oh yeah, that's because there's no butter and salts maybe in the stovetop popcorn, which is true. And that's the reason why the total fat is different and the sodium is different as well. But if you add your own butter and salt, that is going to be probably a little bit more beneficial for you because you get to control how much you put in there. You get to control, maybe there's not as much sodium in it. Maybe there's not as much salt in it. Maybe there's not as much butter. And then you also get to choose the quality of the ingredients you put on there. Whereas typically probably like a microwave popcorn is going to have a low quality butter in it, where you can maybe have a higher quality butter that you put on it yourself. So those are just some examples for you. And the main point here is that when you are deciding between products that are similar, be sure to read that label to determine which one is going to be more beneficial for your body. Now, as we're talking about ingredient label reading, I know that this is a little bit, lots of information within this module, but really wanted to bring in to play here talking about added sugars and its many hidden names. So there is sugar in so many different items, and it's not as easy as just saying sugar listed on a label. I wish it was. So listed below are all other names for sugar that could be on an ingredient label. Now I typically hear, oh, well, there is molasses in this, so it's more beneficial for me. And the thing is, or like there's honey, it's more beneficial for me. It could be because it's not as processed, maybe the honey compared to like corn syrup. And we'd rather have you choose items that are more whole food based, but it still is added sugar. So you do need to be aware of that. So feel free to print out this added sugars list and put it up on your fridge if you want to. If you can't remember like all these, I can't always remember like everything that means sugar because so many things mean sugar. And then take a peek at some of the food within your pantry or your fridge. Now, also, there are many items that we consume that have hidden added sugars in them that you may not think actually have a lot of sugar in them. So a lot of these are condiments, okay? So you may be surprised to hear that ketchup actually has a lot of sugar in it. And I want to say, I can't remember right now, but like maybe like I do have it down here. A tablespoon of Heinz tomato ketchup is 4 grams of added sugar. Now, first of all, 1 tablespoon is 4 grams. A lot of people don't only use a tablespoon. Maybe they do, but 4 grams, like that's a lot. And if you end up having like a dessert or something else, it's going to be very quick to go over the recommended amount of added sugars that you consume in a day. Salad dressings are another one that people don't realize have so much added sugar in them. I got a salad pack the other day, and one of those pre-made ones that you can put together because I'm like, okay, this is what's just going to be helpful for me right now. I know maybe it's not the most high quality ingredients, but let's be real here. Sometimes we just need convenience items, and I'm like, I need a vegetable. Let's grab this. I didn't realize it, but I looked at the nutrition facts panel, and in 1 serving size, there was 10 grams of added sugar. in just the dressing. I'm like, holy cow, that's a lot. So, and there's 3 serving sizes in this container. So if I ate this whole salad and used all the salad dressing, it would have been 30 grams of added sugar, which is almost as much as a Coca-Cola. So I just want to bring awareness to this for you guys. Other items you can see listed there that have hidden added sugars in them. Yeah, like instant oatmeal, like so something that could be a little bit more beneficial for you would be, okay, let's if you want instant oatmeal, get plain and then add your own amount of sugar because you can then help determine how much is in that. Yogurt, that is something that is a sugar trap. A lot of yogurts have like 10 plus grams of sugar in a container. So what you can do is get plain yogurt. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, plain yogurt, gross. But if you take plain yogurt and you add a teaspoon of honey to it, that's only going to be 6 grams of added sugar there. And that is going to be still sweet. And if you put fruit in it, and you're able to control how much you put in. If you want to put in less, then you can put in less. So just want to bring all this to your guys' attention. So again, the sugar recommendation of added sugar per day for women is less than 24 grams, and for men, it's less than 36 grams. And it's not like you need to have this amount. This is kind of the recommendation for the top level. You know, we don't need added sugar in our bodies, right? It's not like it does anything for us, but they want to try to let us have us less than the amounts listed here. And just so you're like, what does like 24 grams of sugar look like? So 1 teaspoon of sugar is equivalent to about 4 grams of added sugar. So if you put like sugar in your coffee, or if you're baking and you're putting sugar in things, like it can really add up pretty fast. And I wanted to just put some products down here so you know how much sugar is in it. So 12-ounce can of Coke is 39 grams of sugar, added sugar. This is all added sugar. A 20-ounce bottle of Gatorade is 34 grams. 4 pieces of Dove chocolate is 15 grams. 12 Sour Patch Kids. I had to put this on there because I love Sour Patch Kids. 24 grams just in 12 little pieces. And the ketchup we already kind of went through. And then Famous Dave's Rich and Sassy Barbecue Sauce and 2 tablespoons is 10 grams of added sugar. So again, I'm bringing this up so you guys are more aware of it. And then maybe you can look at another product and see, hey, is there another product or a different brand that has less added sugar in it? So instead of Heinz tomato ketchup, is there a different one that has less sugar? Primal Kitchen is a type of, is one brand that has no added sugar in it or less added sugar. It does obviously taste a little different, but these are the types of things when you're at the store to try to think about and say, hey, is there some other alternative that's a little bit more beneficial for my body? So for this week, for your action step, we want you to read labels prior to purchasing items at the grocery store. And if you're busy and you're not going to the store this week, then take 5 items out of your pantry or your fridge or freezer and give the nutrition facts panel an ingredient list to read. And what do you notice? You may be surprised to see what's in some of those foods. And if you want to do a little bonus action step, you can even try to omit added sugars from your diet for the whole week. People don't realize how much it just sneaks in. And so trying to omit them for a full week would be an awesome goal for you to have. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And as always, if you guys have any questions for us, please reach out, please message, and we hope that you enjoyed listening to this module and that you have a great rest of your day. Bye.